A lot of people are going to find out the hard way, and a lot of them already have. They're trying to address today's buyer pre-COVID mentality. Today's buyer is not the same mentality. Today's buyer is way more uncertain, and they need to see way more congruency if they're going to buy. They're a lot more skeptical. What I notice is most people out there in business are treating it just like business as normal, and they're not adjusting to what the buyer demands in today's marketplace, which is really the source of their challenges and why they're not enrolling.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and I'm back here with my favorite guest of all time, Marc Musser. Marc, great to have you here, brother.
Great to be here. Let's rock this. This is going to be fun.
Always is. Always is. So, Marc, we're talking about today's buyer.
Yeah.
And what's going on with today's buyer?
It's a great question. And this is something that a lot of people are going to find out the hard way, and a lot of them already have, is they're trying to address today's buyer pre-COVID mentality. And I can tell you that today's buyer is not the same mentality. Madison Avenue in New York, they study buyer confidence and buyer behavior. And one of the things that they've noticed is that today's buyer is way more uncertain. They need way more certainty, and they need to see way more congruency if they're going to buy. So they're a lot more skeptical. And what I notice is most people out there in business are treating it just like business as normal, and they're not adjusting to what the buyer demands in today's marketplace, which is really the source of their challenges and why they're not enrolling.
So what exactly is going on that they're not moving with the flow, as it were?
So it's a good add-on question. So part of what's happening is that when buyers are confident, you go back 4 years ago, right? And maybe right before COVID, people were really confident. They were excited to expand. Money was flowing. People were buying properties. People were investing in businesses. There was a lot of money in circulation. Buyer confidence was very high. Now, what happened is then we had COVID. COVID came in, they shut down most of the world. First time in our history this has ever happened. Put out 40% of some businesses. And what happened is the lingering effects, that was stacked by a huge recession. And anybody that says we have not been in a recession needs to go back and study economics. They're listening to the political talking points instead of understanding. It's like McDonald's as an example. It's gone up 140%. Gas has doubled in California. That's not 4%. That's not 3% like politicians are telling us. To go from $2 to $6.59 a gallon, that's out of control inflation. So what happens? The buyer mentality starts to contract. They start to get much more. They're avoiding trips. They're spending less. They're having to live on credit cards more. They're accumulating debt at a higher rate. So any purchase that's a significant purchase is going to require a lot more convincing, a lot more certainty, and a lot more confidence in that buyer that this is something I must have right now. A lot of the, hey, let's give it a shot, those type of deals are gone right now. And that's kind of what's happened, though. But people aren't sure if they're going to have a job next year. They're not sure they're going to be able to pay rent next year. They're not sure they can drive their cars because gas is getting expensive. Eggs have gone through the roof. Butter has gone through the roof. Food has gone through the roof. Energy gone through the roof in price. So without that confidence, buyers are hunkering down.
So Marc, one of the things that you talked about in one of the trainings that I sat in on that you led was you put out two very stark numbers. One number you put out was 15 minutes. The other number you put out was 3 hours.
Sure. And
that just intrigued me, 15 minutes versus 3 hours. What does that refer to? Why should people care about those two numbers right now?
It's a great ask. And one of the reasons why everyone listening should care about that is because that is the online real life application of an uncertain buyer. That's a big jump in needing to have more information. Before, 15 minutes was enough to get people to pull a $10,000 coaching program just like that. Yeah, this sounds good. This is what I'm looking for. I want the outcome. This sounds great. 15 minutes and they're in. Most of the webinars, that was the main vehicle for most people, were anywhere from about 15 to 45 minutes on average. So that was plenty. You could take cold traffic, put an ad on Facebook, they start watching it, and a very large percentage of people would see that, resonate after seeing one webinar from someone they don't know, and they'd spend $10,000. Well, that's not how it's working today. Uncertain buyers, uncertain people today need upwards of 3 hours. Now, not just 3 hours. They're also jumping on multiple platforms now to see, is this real? They've been burned. They've been skeptical. They're not sure because on another platform, they saw something totally different from this person. Or I remember we had somebody promoting webinars, but they haven't done webinars. They did launches. Those are two separate vehicles. You can't have an expertise in both, and she didn't. So what happens is the buyers are a lot more skeptical. They might put it on the cart, but then they go online and they start looking for, this business scam, this business, and they start looking on other platforms to see, is the message congruent across all platforms? Has this person been around a while? This is one of the biggest scams that happened. The largest software company or platform was promoting people to just copy what worked. So you take non-experts, copy someone's website, webinar, launch, and then they would position themselves and they change the words just enough so they didn't get sued. But now they were hitting people up for the same $10,000 without the expertise. So today's buyer is more savvy. Today's buyer wants to go on multiple platforms. And here, is this a real person? Is this somebody that really has an expertise, or is this the, just listen and they're going to buy, and they don't? So it's a big reason why we have some solutions on that, which are working very, very well right now. But to expect a buyer out of the blue to make a 15-minute decision today, it's rarely happening. And it used to happen a lot. So that's a big shift in today's buyer mentality.
That's interesting because, I come from a corporate background, and I was at one point involved in funding startups. I used to write business plans for people to generate, a $5-10 million investment, $20 million investment. And the process of getting an investor to put their money into a corporation was very involved. First of all, someone like me had to put the business plan together, which took weeks to put together, right? And that business plan had to have a lot of backing to the claims and assertions that it made, right? So you couldn't just pull numbers out of a hat. Secondly, the investor would come and spend hours poring over the business plan, meeting with the founders of the company, getting to know them, getting to get a feel for them, doing their own vetting and due diligence on the numbers in the business plan, as well as the individual, making calls to other people that had worked with them in the past. Like the whole process of parting with $5 million, $10 million, or even let's say $50,000 or $100,000 tranches that were put into this big pile for investment was long. And this buyer is making an investment. They're acting like these savvy, sophisticated investors. What do they call them? There's a technical name for this type of investor, right? I forget the name, but it signifies that they're accredited investor, right? Yeah. Accredited investor. So today's buyer is behaving like an accredited investor and not like a drunk sailor out on the town for liberty for the first time in 6 months. I thought as a Navy man, you'd appreciate that reference.
Yes. Well, it reminds me, you're absolutely correct. When money gets tighter, people tighten their belts. They get more skeptical. They want more proof. They want more evidence. They want more collateral and support. That's pretty normal with the ebbs and flow of money. It was very similar to when the Bitcoin boom happened. And I mean, at the beginning, when it went from 1 cent up to like, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, but not the 60, 100K. Even just that created people that within a very short time frame, $1,000 could have turned into $20 million. Now, that bypassed the effort normally takes to make that kind of money. So what happened? People were out there buying cars. They were buying Ferraris. They're buying Lamborghinis. They're buying trips. They're buying properties. They were spending money like it was free. Because again, it's that kind of nouveau rich where all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Very similar to lotto winners, right? You win the lotto, you buy a bunch of crap you don't need. But that's different than today's buyer. Today's buyer is the one that's much more like the depression type buyer, which is, hey, we need to make sure that this is the right deal. We need to make sure these guys are legit. And there's a lot more because the marketing, especially online marketing, has really shot themselves in the foot with so many unscrupulous charlatan marketers saying they made millions. They didn't. Said that their clients are making millions. Most of them didn't. And to go ahead and project, oh, it's so easy. Look at me. I spend $1 on Facebook ads and I make $20 back. And oh my God, it's great. Yeah, that was like 1 year back, maybe, 2017. But they're still launching that today. And what happens? Buyers buy. Oh, wow, that's what I want. He said it was easy. And they get in, they spend their $10,000, $15,000 for their program. They spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month on ads. And $100,000 later, they still don't have their first client. Now, you go back to the new charlatan marketer or the guy who had success 6 years ago. Guess what he says? Oh, it's your mindset. Oh, you need to spend even more money. He's not telling you that he had 7 sales himself last month on a $250,000 ad spend. He didn't tell you that. And so what happens, buyers are like, hey, something's not right. Because of that uncertainty and so many people getting burned, they've tightened up their wallets and they're not just throwing money around. This is not the time of the Bitcoin boom. This is not the time of the big boom of economy that we had pre-COVID. It's a different economy entirely.
I was speaking, Mark, to someone I'm not going to mention his name, but he's someone who actually I think he used to work for you, and he was saying to me that the market's changed. His skill set is in helping people who have a lot of leads get sales, and he considers lead generation to be a marketing activity. And I was talking to him, and I'm going, but that's not true. Lead generation is prospecting. It's just earlier on in the sales process. You got to go out there. And he and I had an argument. We got into an argument. And I like the guy, and I hope I didn't offend him too much. I think I may have, because I said, look, you think this is beneath you. And he says, no, I think cold calling is terrible, and I don't want to do it. I said, well, this isn't cold calling. This is simply picking up the phone and calling people in your warm market. And I said, you have this skill set. Teach people how to do it. He says, well, I think that's glorified accountability coaching. And I said, what do you think coaching is? At the heart of any coaching is an accountability process. It's the most valuable part of coaching. You make sure that people do things that work that they don't want to do. Isn't that what a trainer does in a gym? Isn't that what any good, like if you're in a relationship situation, they say, okay, you know what? The way you've been acting to your spouse doesn't work. So next time, instead of yelling at your spouse, you're going to leave the house, or you're going to just say, take a breath, and you're going to say, hey, you know what, honey, tell me more about that. Well, every fiber of your being wants to just yell back at her, right? Yeah. But isn't that, at the end of the day, what all coaching is some level of accountability to get you to do things that are uncomfortable?
Well, yes and no. Yes, it is. It should be, but it's not how a lot of coaches transmorph very quickly into the friend. And what happens is they become a pleaser, because they don't want to lose the client, when in reality, a client is hiring a coach to get the feedback on things they can't see, to help them be held accountable, to move them forward to the goals that they're accountable to. So that's really what it's about. But having run one of the largest coaching companies in the world with Tony Robbins, I can tell you that a lot of the coaches can slip into being someone's friend. And you need that honest feedback. You need somebody to say, hey, Nikki, you set a goal to get this many clients. You set a goal to do this because it's going to help you. And the coaching is really from this moment here, moving forward and helping you identify what is stopping you, and then helping you get back in movement, right? And a lot of people will kind of go, and especially in the spiritual worlds, you're hearing this, well, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't download right. I just didn't, I just didn't resonate. Well, guess what? Your resonance and your way of doing it has proven not to work. So let's try a different approach. Let's do those things outside of our comfort zone, which is really what this conversation is. doing things outside of your comfort zone, having somebody there to help you get through it. And I've done the same thing with my training. I didn't want to follow, his plan. And like you said earlier today on a different call, it's funny. I've been in the gym now coming up on 40 years. That's one of the few things that I know very, very well. There wasn't a book I didn't study. There wasn't a book I didn't apply. There wasn't a program I didn't apply. Nutrition, I passed my physical, the training certifications literally in 20 minutes where people had taken them 3 times and failed it. And so I have a 40-year background in this. So when I hired a coach because he put 3,000 people on stage in single-digit body fat. And I was just above body fat. I could get down to about 11, 12% myself. I looked good, but I did not look like I could be in a show. So I hired him. And guess what? He changed up shit that I knew too much. I thought, well, I want to work out on a fasted stomach. I like HIIT training. I like this training. I like that training. I don't want that many carbs. I don't like that type of sequence. I want to do chest first. I argued with him the whole time, and he always came back to the same thing. I've put 3,000 people on stage in their all-time best. You can do it your way, but it won't work. So I hired him for the accountability, for the outside eye, somebody that could look and say, hey, Mark, yeah, that's okay, but you didn't hire me for okay. You hired me because you want greatness. You want the next level. Sure enough, I shut up. I did what he told me. And lo and behold, 16 weeks later, I was in single digits and I look better than I ever had. Even though I have pretty much all the certifications, all the training, all the knowledge, all the experience, but I still needed an outside person. And again, think about what I had to do to put my ego aside to hire a coach that I have literally been training probably as long or longer than he has been on this planet. That's one of my 3 obsessions was bodybuilding and nutrition. And I still hired him because the guys he was putting on stage looked freaking great. And I looked good. And I wanted to look great. I wanted to stop traffic, look great. And it required an outside coach. And absolutely, it's my job to be accountable to my dream because it's my dream. Every week I send him pictures. Every week I ask him questions. Hey, you know what? I'm having a hard time getting the calories in. Any suggestions? Hey, I can't eat that many oats. Hey, and he'd recommend to switch to quinoa. Or he'd recommend, here's just put it in your shake, just drink it. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think of that. And next thing you know, I'm getting my calories. I'm getting everything he said. And next thing you know, I look freaking 10 times better because I had a coach. So, the reason I said yes and no, Nikki, is there's a lot of people that mistake coaching as just do it coaching. They get on there. They don't want to piss you off. They know you don't want to make the calls. So they go, okay, well, let's just go ahead and keep it positive and stay in their heart. And it's all this like huggy stuff. But the reality is you didn't make the calls. You didn't move forward. Your business didn't grow. And you're going to blame everything and everybody except realizing that the coach did not hold you accountable to the calls.
Bottom line, they didn't, Mark. And,
No.
I look at successful coaches in athletics. And I know you're a big fan of sport. So I look at folks like Bill Parcells, coached the Giants. I look at folks like Vince Lombardi, coached the Green Bay Packers. I look at folks like the legendary Bobby Knight, coached Indiana in basketball.
John Wooden, Bill Belichick. They all have a common theme. Krzyzewski.
They're not nice men. They're not nice men. They don't care about your damn feelings. They're not trying to be your friend. They're trying to get a result. That's the bottom line, right? And this is what people don't understand. If you hire someone to be your coach, you're not hiring somebody to beat you down or talk down to you, but you're hiring somebody to push you to do this, things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And for our mutual friend, the fellow who used to work for you, who's a really good fellow, that's what he's missing. And he used this pejorative term, glorified accountability coaching. When I heard him say that, I go, dude, this is why you're failing at you going after business for you, because you're looking down on this. You're looking down on what works because you don't want to do it anymore. And you consider cold calling or whatever to be some sort of evil thing, lying, right? And that's beneath you, and that's not going to work. And I say this to everybody, like you've been talking about this. No more 15-minute clients. You're not going to get someone who checked you out for 15 minutes is buying from you. They're going to check you out for 3 hours. So you better be prepared to put well over 3 hours worth of stuff about what you do and why you're good out there, number one. And number two is you better speak the truth to people. There can't be no sunshine, lollipop, and roses messaging that, hey, just sign up with me. The sky's going to part. Gold is going to fall on your head from the sky. You know what I mean? It's not like that. You're going to have to dig for the gold. You're going to have to buy yourself a pickaxe and a shovel, and you're going to have to sweat to get that gold out of the ground.
Yeah, that's the one commonality is, again, when the storm happens, let's look at this from a marathon standpoint, okay? Let's say that the ultimate weather for a marathon is about 58 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, right? Okay, that's where the body gets to run the most, where it doesn't overheat. Well, let's say the heat gets to 80. Let's say it gets to 90. Let's say it gets to 100. Are you going to be able to PR, which means personal record, have your best run ever in that type of environment? Absolutely not. There's something that they track called the heat index, where they can actually predict how much every degree above, I think it was 70 degrees, will kill your times. Let's go the other direction. Let's say you're doing the Boston Marathon and there's essentially a hurricane. Are you going to be able to run your best with 100-mile-an-hour winds and wind and water splashing in your face and rocks and things? No, you won't run your best. But if the goal is to still finish, you finish and you take that into account. Right now, building a business right now is like building and running in a marathon. It's a lot harder than perfect conditions. We had perfect conditions before. So the first thing you have to decide is, are you committed to win? And if you're committed to win, are you willing to pay the price that success demands today? Quit using the protocol and the standard from 4 years ago. It's not this market. The strong are going to thrive. Now, here's the good news. For the people that step up in this market, just like during the Great Depression, just like the Great Recessions, the strongest people will step up. They're going to get a coach. They're going to get good counsel. They're going to do the work that the weak can't do. The storm or the recession comes in and wipes out all the weak, all those that are not going to innovate, all those that are not going to add new value and find better ways to serve their client. They get wiped out. There's a reason over 50% of the businesses started during the depression or the recession, because that's where the strong thrive. But that is mindset. You need to show up willing to pay whatever price and quit arguing with it. Kind of getting back to your thing, though, too. There's a coaching company in real estate. Arguably the most successful, one of the biggest coaching companies. Their entire coaching call is about one thing: accountability. Their system is very simple. I can teach it to you right now. Nikki, you want to be a top realtor? I can help you make $1 million within 3 years per year. Every day you're going to cold call 8 hours a day, or you're going to door knock 8 hours a day. You're going to pay me $10,000 per year minimum to coach you. I can't remember if it's $10,000 a year or $10,000 for a 6-month program. I'm going to call you once a week. It's going to be on the calendar. I'm going to say, Nikki, you promised to make 100 calls a day, cold calls a day, or 500 calls, or 8 hours of cold call. How many did you do? Oh, you didn't. Okay, Nikki, we've got 42 minutes left on this coaching call. So I'm going to call you back in 40 minutes. Good luck. Click. And that's pretty much their coaching, because it's not complicated. Can you not read the little script? Can you not read it? It's right in front of you. Just read the script. Do it for 8 hours a day. 99% of people won't do that. They want the outcome, but they don't want the accountability because they want to be freewheeling. And number two, they won't do the work. But in today's market, for the people that have the right coach in their ear, that have strategies that work today, that are time relative, they can actually gain market share now, but you're going to earn it. You'll build more muscle, but you can gain market share because the weak are getting obliterated right now.
They are. Now, the truth of the matter is, you don't have to cold call. There's all kinds of other strategies. Cold calling, you can call people in your warm market. You can have a referral, an active versus a passive referral strategy. You can do something you and I have perfected, which is podcast guesting.
Yep.
Get booked and get paid. You can generate opportunities to speak on other people's stages.
Yep.
You can create what we call channel partnerships with people who go after the same companies or individuals that you do, and have them be a channel to bring you business. You could run affiliate programs, right? You could do a funnel. You could post on social media. These are all strategies. And not all of them are created equal. And I know you're going to say that in a minute. There's some that work better than others today. There's some that don't work very well anymore, but they used to work. And that's okay. Here's what I want everyone to hear. It's not the specific tactic or strategy that you use that matters. That is not the secret sauce. The secret sauce is your own determination, what you call the decision to win, what you call the commitment to victory, what you call being coachable, taking coaching from somebody, what you call being resourceful. That is the secret sauce. You take those on for yourself. Almost any strategy will work at least somewhat. Now, there are strategies that work better, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that's what you got to get. It's all in you. You want this to happen for yourself, then you get somebody on your side that's going to show you how to do one or more of these strategies better, and then going to hold you account to do the work. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. It's interesting concept that the other one too is that whether or not you believe you can win. And they did a study at Ohio State on rats where they put rats in these progressively hard mazes where the mat could always outthink the maze creator to find the cheese. They could put water. It figured it out how to beat the water. They could put blocks, doors, levers, crawling across string, you name it. They had progressively hard programs. Now, they finally figured a way to defeat the rat, which was very ingenious. They couldn't figure it out by doing the maze. What they did is they took away the prize. There was no cheese. So the rats ran around. And when the rat was convinced there was no cheese, they went back to the starting line and they gave up. Now they could put the cheese out there, but it no longer entered the arena because it didn't believe it was worth it. Okay. So that was really important. Humans are very similar. If you don't think you can win, you're in trouble. And even with cancer, the number one trait to beating cancer is the bright attitude about it. Your mindset is actually trumps chemo, radiation, and any other treatment plan. If you think you're going to die, you're going to die. If you think I'm going to beat this and I'm going to do everything I can, boom, that's going to shift the way you look at it. It's the same thing too with people today. When they're using a strategy, and this is what breaks my heart and frustrates me. There are gurus out there, let's call them that, self-anointed, self-appointed, who had a lot of success before COVID. Well, guess what? I know guys that are spending $250,000 to $350,000. Guess how many sales they got off the paid traffic for that?
How many?
7 to 10.
Whoa.
Now, think about this. Now, 7 to 10 sales a month, they're spending, let's just average it to $300,000. So if you got 7 sales, we're used to, for that type of money, we used to get about 40 to 50 sales. Okay. But they're still pitching the 40 to 50 sale illusion, but they're getting 7 to 10 this month. 7 to 10 sales at $300,000. That's approximately $30,000 per new client. Now, what's the problem? Here's the problem. The program they're charging is $15,000. They're only getting paid either 3 payments of 5 or they're spreading it out. So they're only making about $35,000 against that $300,000 ad spend. They're collecting an average of $7,000 total because people bounce when they find out their shit doesn't work. But they're still out there with great marketing, great ad copy, great this, but the buyer is frustrated because the buyer's not sure. And these gurus are telling them, oh, it's not us, it's you. They're not telling the whole story. They're not telling them that we're getting our butts kicked. We lost $270,000 on initial ad spend. They're hoping to make it up on their back end. But that just doesn't serve the client. So the client doesn't think they can win. And eventually they'll spend $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 on ads and they quit. Because right now, that one size easy, don't do any work, just do what I'm doing and make money, they're not making money. And so it's important that people realize you're absolutely right. You can win in today's market, but you need a comprehensive program, something that's going to be different ways to get in front of your buyer, different ways to get and bulk up to that 3 hours per person, whether that's videos, podcast guesting, which again, we've refined and really dialed in, but podcast guesting is one of my favorites if you know how to do it. It's a big waste of time if you don't, but right now it's essentially free and I can offset by learning how to do podcasts properly. I can avoid paying $50,000 to $80,000 a month on ads. I can get that many breakthrough calls that would typically cost $50,000 to $80,000 a month on ads by using podcasts instead to get my calls through the podcasting for free, basically. So that's something that works. And then if you stack that with a book funnel, if you stack that with a cohesive, congruent other TikTok messages, Instagram, or different methods, you can get buyers the confidence and the certainty and the clarity they need to pull the trigger now.
You know, Mark, that's bang on. Wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. And I think for me, the thing that I want us to market to people is there's no more easy way. Right. There's only the hard but sure way. And that's what my fitness coach, the man who helped me drop 58 pounds last year and is helping get me ready for getting on stage, tells me there's no easy way. You can't look for shortcuts. You got to look for the hard way. You got to step into the hard. David Goggins does that, right? All day long, he goes in to suffer so that he can get better because he thinks there's lessons in the suffering. And in your business, in your sales activity, that's what you got to be. You got to have a David Goggins mentality, an Amber Cameron mentality, a Marc von Musser mentality, a Nikki Ballou mentality. Stop looking for the easy, look for the hard. In Canada, many years ago, there was a bunch of cough syrups in the market, and many of them would market that they tasted great. And hey, this cough syrup, but it tastes great. It's like candy. There was one company called Buckley's Mixture, and the Buckley family owned it before they sold the company. They went a different way, and they said, Buckley's Mixture, it tastes awful, but it works. And Mark, Buckley's Mixture sold like crazy because people had in their mind, listen, if it tastes awful, this is the real medicine. Medicine isn't supposed to taste good. This is like they're selling me a BS fake dream. And we're like the Buckley's Mixture of business coaches, Mark, you and I. We're telling you that this is going to be a tough road. This isn't going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. But we're telling you that if you embrace the suck, you embrace the toughness, it's going to work for you. I'll give you the last word.
Well, it's about that authentic and the honesty. I think people deserve the truth. I think people need to hear the truth because you can't win if you show up in a fight. Let's say you're going to be boxing in a match and they tell you, oh, yeah, you're going up against an old guy. He hasn't won a fight in his last 10 fights. The guy can barely get out of bed. You're going to be training for that. Whether you know it or not, you're going to think, oh, I've got this one in the bag. Now, confidence is great, but that's under preparing and you're not ready. And then you walk in the ring and it's Mike Tyson. How are you going to do? If you're going to fight Mike Tyson, you need everything in your corner. And you still might lose, but that's the only shot you've got. What you're talking about now is that truth in marketing and advertising. And the reason that has happened is that is the pendulum swing from marketing. The same thing happened in the gym. Thigh Master, look at me. I've used this for 3 days and I look like Suzanne Summers. Okay, I don't know that I buy that. Doing adductor squeezes with a machine and a contraption, they sold tens of millions of them. Hula hooping. Okay, look at me. I did hula hooping and in 1 week I dropped 40 pounds. And there's this crazy do nothing, get rich or lose all the weight quickly. And everybody eventually started to tune it out because they knew it wasn't true. So then what happened? P90X. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever done. But if you stick with it, you're going to sweat, you're going to be sore, but you will transform your body in 90 days and it's going to be the proudest you ever met. And they started doing it. Then they came out with Insanity. If you thought that was hard, get ready to sweat even more. Get ready to feel a burn that very few people have the courage to feel. And they started speaking directly to it. And people went crazy and bought it because they intuitively, they know you can't just do a Thigh Master and expect to look like a model. It's not going to happen. And if you have an honest conversation with people, speak about what it is. Now, I'm not going to say that the storm lasts forever either, but we are in a storm right now. So you have a choice. You either build the muscle and step in and take the hits and start doing the work needed and capture market share, or just mail it in and don't start. Wait until the market gets good and then join everyone else. Remember, in real estate, that's what happens. When the market's great, we had 27,000 realtors in San Diego. when the market went south in these short sales in 2007 and 8, when it became a short sale hell, there was about 300 of us making money. You couldn't find a realtor to save your life. So this is the time, and I made more money than ever during the bad market because there's not any competition. That time is rapidly upon us. So to everyone out there, I would tell you, if you committed to win, raise your game. You have to raise your mindset. You need to raise your skill set. You need to raise the people in your ear that are supporting you, helping you, your team to get you through it. If you do that, you can have your best years ever, even during the recession, even during all the chaos that's going on right now, because people need you now more than ever. That's what I would throw out.
No, that's fantastic. So, folks, if you want to find out more about Marc and I's signature program, Get Booked and Get Paid, which is about podcast guesting, go to ecircleacademy.com/get booked. All the information you need about when the program's on, how long it is, what the investment is, all of that is there. So go there, check that out.
It's not just about getting booked and getting paid. We're going to show you exactly how Nikki Ballou made, what is it up to now? Some crazy amount of money. How much?
$385,000, I think, in 2 years.
$385,000 working part-time using podcast guesting, other people's podcasts. We should at some point too, Nikki, calculate how much money the ad spend would have cost you, because there was $0 of ad spend. There is a service you need to pay like $50 a month to help with it, but that's it. But at the end of the best
part, Marc, because they have a referral program, and because I've referred a few people to their program, this guesting service, essentially it's free for me. So I'm actually paying nothing.
Yeah. And
which it could be the same for you if you do what I did and recommend it to some people, right?
Yeah. But if you think about it, I'd rather make, again, like I said, that example I go, somebody is out there bragging that they made, I don't know, they spent $300,000 on ads. They got 7 to 10 sales. On paper, they could show they made $150,000 a month. Oh, wow, that looks great. No, you actually lost $150,000 that month. And the thing I like about Get Booked and Get Paid is the return of investment is stupid. You're putting in 8 to 12 hours a week. You're getting on other people's podcasts. You're maximizing your message. You're getting it in front of millions. How many millions of people now is your message, Nikki Ballou's message, out there in front of?
It's well over 2 million.
Yeah. So what would that take for you to get your message out in front of 2 million people? What would that take for you to get in that many sales? We should figure that out. But an ad spend, I calculated it's $50,000 to $80,000 a month is what we've been able to offset, because that's what it would cost on paid traffic. If you were just to go do the paid YouTube, paid Facebook, you're looking at $50,000 to $80,000 a month to get the number of calls that you're able to book off a podcast for free. So totally different animal.
It is 100%. And so go check it out. And if you're running a business right now and you're looking for a way to supercharge your sales, and this sounds interesting to you, go check this out. If you need to have a call, if you're in the 3 hours of due diligence, all you got to do is go to that same website, ecircleacademy.com/appointment, and you can get on a phone call with me. I'm the designated fella who does these calls. We don't have enrollment coaches. We do the calls. Me personally, I will sit down. I will talk to you. I will get to understand where you're at, and I will, with you, help you get to a space where you can decide, is this the way that I want to go forward to solve the problem? There's no hard sell. There's none of that. But there is an honest to goodness, for real conversation. I'm not going to give you any BS about this is going to be easy or simple. In fact, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's going to take some hard work. This is like the insanity and the P90X of getting your business to grow. So either go to ecircleacademy.com/get booked to actually check it out or sign up online. Or if you want to have a conversation, go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment, jump on my calendar. That's it. That's all you got to do. Make sure you take advantage of this and make sure that you don't fall for what these charlatan marketers are trying to sell you out there, because that's not going to make you feel good. Don't spend money that's going to give you a negative return, i.e. you're going to put 10 grand out there and then you're going to spend another 20, 30, 40, 50 grand on ads or whatever else they have you do and have it not work. You don't want that. if you're going to invest money in something that's going to work today, something that's generating results right now, and invest money in yourself and getting somebody to believe in you and kick your behind a little bit to make sure you do the things that you know in your heart are necessary, like have conversations with potential buyers rather than posting crap on social media, TikTok, Instagram, rather than spending money on ads because you don't want to pick up a phone. That's being lazy and that's being scared. And I'm here to tell you, don't be lazy and don't be scared. We'll hold your hand. We'll make sure that whatever fear you have, we walk you past it. But there is no other way. There is no other way. Anybody else who tells you that is trying to tell you unicorns fly. All you need is to buy one of them and you'll fly too. And that's just not true.
Yeah, I just say the other part too is get on the phone with Nicky because he's going to tell you whether or not this is going to work for you. You get to decide whether you want to move forward, but this doesn't work for everybody. There are certain things that need to be in play, but if it does, we'll show you that and we'll show you how you could add it. But I'd rather have an extra 2, 3, 400,000 coming in with no ad spend than risking 10, 20, 30,000 a month, knowing that Facebook is going to change the algorithms on a daily basis, it seems, knowing that YouTube changes all the time. And then right when you get it working, after 6 months and a few $100,000 invested, then they change the rules again and you're back to square one. So I prefer a holistic approach that has something like this as a core pillar. Then I can do stages. Then I can do book or the other methods to get in front of my ideal clients. But this one would be working 24/7. That's why I like it to start. It allows me to get 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 podcasts out there. That's a lot of content that people can go find. And now anything else I do actually has more value. It actually has more effectiveness. So to anyone out there, the real question is, are you ready to win? And if you're ready to win, you got to have a new innovative approach. Otherwise, you're just trying to squeeze out the last few drops of lemon. Just get a new lemon instead of squeezing that lemon that's been worked on for 5 years. And let's go help you, because at the end of the day, the clients need help.
Amen, brother. Amen. Marc, great talking to you as always, man.
Likewise. Rock and roll.
Cheers, man. Baloo out.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.